I walked up to the stairs that led to the entrance of the craft. I remember climbing the stairs, how excited I was to finally get to see what's inside the craft. When I got to the top of the stairs, I can clearly see the reversed American flag to my left. The hatchway is fairly small, and I put my hands on both sides of it to bend down to go inside. And when I did, my hand was near the reversed American flag, so I noticed the exact size. It was just a little more than a span, a little more than, as far as my fingers stretched. And I glanced down and looked at the security guard who was staring at me and just kind of gave him a smile and, proceeded into the craft. I was shocked at how sparse the inside of the craft was. Everything was the same color, the same texture, and it all appeared to be the same material. Virtually everything had a radius of curvature to it, and everything looked like it was molded together, with the exception of the reactor. Even though there were 2 tripod lights set up inside the craft, it was still very dark. I've often described the interior of the craft as being very ominous.
I got to look inside, and it had really small chairs, and I think that was the first confirmation I had. That was just a shocking thing, because every time before that I was able to label it, well, this is just a little advance that a group of scientists had formed, and they're keeping it secret, and yeah, we could have built a big disc like that, that's no problem, and we could have adapted these to make it fly, but why does it have little furniture inside, essentially little seats, and things began to click together just all too fast.
I was in there with my lab partner Barry, and there was also another team working elsewhere in the craft. While going over the reactor placement, Barry drew my attention to the archways that all surrounded the interior of the craft, explaining they were hollow and actually waveguides. The waveguide, which terminates as the antenna-looking object from the top, that kind of folds down on itself, so it extends and retracts, and that sits on the top of the reactor that essentially channels the gravity wave up there and into the superstructure around the craft, so it's dispersed evenly. While we were working next to the reactor, I got a really good look at the 3 seats, or what we assumed to be seats, that were far too small to be usable by an adult human. If you look at the seats, what I call the seats, the placement, one of them, the waveguide